I moved to a suburban area after the pandemic. I didn't have to physically go to work anymore. The skies were much darker here. There's far less light pollution. I decided to revisit my childhood hobby, watching shooting stars. We call them shooting stars, but they're not really stars. They're actually meteors, small fragments of spatial matter that fall into the Earth's atmosphere very, very fast. When they enter the atmosphere, they burn up and leave a trail of debris that glows with intense heat. Like in 2013, when the Chelyabinsk meteor flew too close over Russia, damaging buildings and injuring more than 1,000 people. If an asteroid as big as 11 kilometers came crashing into Earth, it would obliterate everything in its path. People, cars, buildings, projectiles will be flying everywhere. A huge cloud of dust would swallow the Earth, blocking out the sun to invite complete darkness. Earth's ability to support life would then be reduced to nothing.
In 1989, Quebec's entire power grid went offline for 12 hours. Other nearby regions scrambled, trying to keep their grids working. The reason? Charged particles from a massive solar storm slammed into Earth's magnetic field and knocked out electricity. NASA dubbed the event the day the sun brought darkness. The Quebec blackout closed schools and businesses. Several people woke up to cold homes. Offices, buildings, and underground pedestrian tunnels suddenly went dark. But this blackout in Quebec is just a fraction of the chaos we would experience if we lost Earth's magnetic field. The magnetic field is a protective blanket that deflects deadly particles from the sun. It traps these particles in a zone called the Van Allen radiation belt. But if we lost that protection, the charged particles would plunge into Earth. The cosmic rays would damage our DNA, increasing the risk of cancer. Power grids and other electronics would be disturbed because of the impact on satellites. But most horrific of all would be the loss of Earth's atmosphere, which the solar winds would scrape off, causing evaporation of water bodies, air, and life itself.
It was a Monday afternoon, and I had just walked out of my dental appointment when the quake struck. The entire building front where I had been a few minutes ago collapsed. My wife, who works at a restaurant, told me the entire place was ripped through. Lamp pendants swung violently, kitchen units wobbled, things were falling everywhere. Panic, sirens, and chaos ensued as more aftershocks hit. The results were devastating. What causes earthquakes are blocks that make up the Earth's surface, called tectonic plates. They're found deep beneath land and oceans, and they constantly move and interact with one another because of the heat found deep in the Earth's interior. The meeting point of these plates is called a fault. The edges of two faults might get stuck to each other, building some pent-up energy that eventually snaps, causing a chain of rippling movements on the Earth's surface. When earthquakes cause movements of the ocean floor, they trigger ocean waves called tsunamis, and they can also trigger volcanic eruptions. Worse yet, earthquakes are pretty hard to predict. There's no telling when or where it'll happen or how big it will be. One can only hope to make it through one alive.
I've worked at Yellowstone National Park for many years. I know the risks. We always emphasize to our visitors to take safety precautions very, very seriously. In 2017, a man visiting Yellowstone was burned by a geyser. The year before that, another man was completely dissolved by the acidic waters. One of the gravest risks at Yellowstone are the infamous geysers. Geysers are holes filled with water that is heated by magma. The water runs under extreme pressure, waiting to burst at any time, sending jets of hot water and steam into the air. It's not possible to predict when they would erupt because of complex geological interactions, but they're dangerous and have in the past caused serious injury, even death.
Wait here, my dive buddy signaled. A dive buddy is a partner who goes with you on dives, and you support each other while underwater. After he gives me the signal, he disappears into a deeper part of the ocean. This can't be hard, I thought, before I felt myself floating upwards. Oh no! I just couldn't control my buoyancy, no matter how much I tried. The full moon was up the night before, and the currents were strong, making things worse. I'll never forget that final day of my diving course. I'd lost my buddy and was completely terrified. I broke up the surface. I couldn't look anymore. I noticed another dive boat and waved. The guy saw me and immediately helped me up. "Are you okay?" they asked. I nodded. "Have you seen my instructor?" I managed to gasp. They reunited me with him, but it took me some time to calm down. We giggle about it today, but as a newbie diver, it was the most terrifying experience. I had never felt so helpless, and the sea, never so ruthless. 71% of the Earth's surface is covered by water, and all the marine hazards that come with it. Tides, currents, and riptides pose a risk for drowning. Sea plants and animals can be dangerous, and contact with them can mean painful bites, toxins, disease. The deepest parts of the ocean, for the most part, remain a mystery to us. Our determination to master our surroundings led to deep water exploration, but it comes with its risks. One of them is extreme pressure. As we delve deeper into the sea, the pressure increases, affecting our lungs and other air-filled spaces in our heads. If we're not careful, too much pressure could collapse those spaces, crushing us and potentially killing us. The oceans can be unforgiving, as can many other dangers found on land. There's risk in being on Earth, but for the most part, bad things don't happen. Geysers don't always erupt. Asteroids don't usually fall past the Earth's atmosphere. Earthquakes do happen all the time, but they're almost always small, and we can barely feel them. For the most part, Earth is remarkably calm. It's why we humans have survived for millennia and millennia. Life itself is resilient, and it takes a lot to drive it to extinction. Earth provides plenty of dangers, but the biggest threat to humanity remains to be us, humans. But more on our species in our next video.